All right, and we're live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 710 Cast Halloween special. Our special effects budget is non-existent, so please take this moment to use your imaginations. Add some lightning flashes, some thunder, a mad scientist laugh, a scream, a creepy theremin, and the distant howl of a wolf that's probably one of our friends.
Maybe some chains shaking around, things like that, spooky stuff.
Yeah, spooky stuff.
Plunking starter on a low battery.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty terrifying. The orange, ominous glow of a check engine light.
Then it starts to flash.
Yeah.
So, my name is Tamarack, and I'll be your host this evening. Already Halloween themed because my fur most closely resembles that color of a pumpkin.
Pumpkin fox.
Just paint a scary face on my ribs and I'll curl up in a ball on your porch and no one will know the difference. It's camouflage.
And adorable.
With me are my two co-hosts. Still stateside with us is our Aussie desk correspondent and practitioner of automotive necromancy, Kaji. Say hello.
G'day. I don't say hello.
Well, you're deliberately obtuse. If I told you to say good day, you'd say hello. And also we have our devilish desert dog Eli the Coyote. Say awoo.
Woo. How y'all doing?
That'll be $350. We'll send you a bill.
Perfect. I won't pay it. People try to rob me right now. It's for practice.
And of course, lurking in the chat behind the scenes to keep everyone from stealing candy from our bowls is our faithful shop dog. He has permission to bite. You've all been warned.
I'm quite good at it. They're they go for the heels, man. I'm telling you.
So our topic for tonight will be our own automotive horror stories that still haunt our nightmares. And if we've got time, maybe some news. If we've got chatters, maybe some questions or some other random crap that we threw together at the last minute.
Because that's just kind of how we do. Hey, Dusty.
Hello, Dusty.
G'day.
Still sticking with the anti-hello sentiment.
Ahoy, hoy.
So, Yotie has volunteered to step up to the plate first tonight.
Yes, I'm going to be talking about, if I have time for it, I'm going to try and make them a pair of stories, actually. One that happened to me as more of an advisor and less of an actual my car. It wasn't my vehicle. And then second, I'm going to go with one of my own that I can certainly try and find a picture for and bring up. But to start off, I'm going to go with the low-hanging fruit of my story that involved other people. This is when, back along the days in, I want to say, the late aughts, early teens, where I was an advisor for a Dodge Chrysler Jeep dealership. I was actually a reconditioning advisor, so I took in all of the trade-ins, and we processed them from trade-in through mechanical and detail and onto the lot. And if it was within 30 days of the purchase, they would bring the cars back to me instead of having them go through a warranty, just because that was the policy. And one day, we had a great car that initially it went through our entire process with flying colors. There was no problems with this thing. It was great because it was a Lexus. They just don't really go terribly wrong, and if they go terribly wrong, they're crushed terribly wrong. So this was a late generation second gen GS, like the one you'll see here on the screen here. It's spooky, I know. Especially the foggy headlights. God, it's a little bit of sandpaper and a bit of a buffer. But we sold one of these. The one we sold in particular was in a brilliant white. And it was stock down to the bones, had no issues, flew through. We gave it an oil change. We prettied it up a little bit and we put it on the lot, and it sold to a couple. Within a week, this couple was at my front desk complaining of ticking sounds from the engine. So, okay, we'll bring it back for you and we'll check it out. We'll just make sure everything's running okay inside there, and go in and did a stethoscope on the valve covers and figured out, like, oh yeah, that's the timing clicking. Like, that's just it. That's what it does. It's a chain motor. And the people were finally, well, I don't really think that, but okay, sure. If you say it's fine, it's fine. And they left, and everything was hunky-dory for a little bit until about another 3-4 days. They came back in and said, yeah, somebody said that, well, that's not normal. It shouldn't be doing that. It's making too much noise. You maybe have put the wrong oil in it. But
Of course.
okay, you know what? We'll start digging and tearing into it, and this just continued. This process continued, where we would do something for them, like, okay, you know what? We even ordered the special oil from Lexus themselves to put it in there, and we did the oil change with that. And now it's still making the noise. We don't care. We don't want this. I think they were just trying to get out of the deal. But instead, we kept digging deeper because the sales manager didn't want to give up the deal. So he's like, no, they're staying in this car. Fix whatever it is. I don't care. Then days turned into weeks, and we're still digging, and to a point where I gave it to one of my mechanics and said, tear it apart. Look in there. Give me the affirmation, the confirmation there's nothing physically wrong with this car. Tear it apart. So the front of the motor comes off, the top of the motor comes off. Everything is torn apart on this thing. I'm answering calls from these people on the daily. What's going on with my car? What's going on with my car? Why haven't you figured it out? Why haven't you figured it out? I'm stressed out. My mechanic is stressed out because he's feeling the crunch too. He's taking days off because he's like, I can't go in there and work on that thing again. These guys are used to fast turnaround. Yeah, I can't do this thing again. And to the point where we replaced the timing chain, the timing gears on the cams, the runners. Basically, we did an entire timing set on this thing for a motor that didn't even have 100,000 miles. And then when we gave it back to them, fully functioning, they said it's still making the sound. It's like, yes, well, it's a timing chain motor. As we told you when this all started, it's going to make that sound because it's just naturally, it's metal instead of a belt. Oh, yeah, we don't like that.
Noisier.
Yeah, they're a little bit noisier. They're more reliable, but they're noisier. Oh, we don't like that. We don't like that. You need to take it to Lexus. All right, you know what? Boy. Fine. We've already put over 80 hours into this thing. What's a couple $100 more? We're just to prove you wrong. We're going to take it over there for you. And yeah, it was about a month and a half long process of fighting with this couple to just prove to them that they didn't have a faulty or a lemon car. And that will forever remain as one of the most difficult customer situations that I ever had to face in that job. Because it was repetitive. It wasn't just one time getting yelled at and then we fixed the problem. It was getting yelled at multiple times a week by not only the customers, but also the sales manager and the mechanic and my manager. And it's a gigantic clusterfuck that was an absolute nightmare. And forgive my language there. I realized that I was just going off the cuff. But I mean, it's precisely what it was. It turned into something that was far more blown out of proportion than it needed to be. And I never quite recovered from that one, to the fact that, and apparently neither did the sales manager, because the next time a Lexus GS of this model came in, he immediately sent that thing to auction. There wasn't a hesitation. He was like, nope, that's going away now.
Which is a shame, because they're such good cars.
They really are. They're wonderful cars. And because of one bad situation, this guy was like, nope, get it out, gone, leave, goodbye. The second, if I do have time, which I don't think I covered that much time. That was only about a quick 5-minute little diddly-do there. So I got another quick 5 minutes. My next one was with my personal car. This was something that I loved this car. Okay, to make no bones about it, despite all of its flaws, despite what it did to me, despite everything I went through with it, I loved, and still to this day love, this car. And that would be my... Where are you now? There it is. The 89 Corolla GTS. And it's not a pretty thing, but it was a lot of fun. It was a great fun to work on. It was high revving with the 4AGE red top. The only issue was this was taken in spring, I believe, or maybe late fall, because there's some pine needles on the ground there in Florida. But I got this thing midsummer-ish, kind of start to fall. And the guy had done an engine swap on it and put in a newer 4AGE that was, tested and had compression, everything was good. And believe me, the motor ran like a top. It had some vacuum issues, but it's the 80s, 90s cars. They all have vacuum issues. But as time went on, I decided, I'm going to go home for Christmas this year. So I decided to hop in this and take at that time, it was about a 10 to 12 hour drive from Orlando, Florida to outside of Memphis, Tennessee. And not realizing, because I lived in Florida and had never turned on the heat, he had bypassed the heater core.
Oh, no.
So that's problem one. Problem two is about an hour and a half into the drive, it starts surging hard. Okay, well, shut it off, pull to the side, give it a couple minutes, take a look at things, go through everything, turn it back on. No more surging. Okay, that's weird, but whatever. Get back on the road, get back up to speed, go a little further, start surging again. So I drove approximately 9 hours by getting up to speed, and as soon as it would start surging, clutch in, key off, coast, let it reset itself, turn back on, keep going. Had I known it was just a fuel filter, I probably would have done something on the road.
Oh, no.
But I didn't. So I went through the whole trip like that, plus putting a sleeping bag over myself in the latter parts of the trip because it was approximately 36 degrees at my destination. Not only that, but about 1 mile from the exit to my mom's place on the highway, I have a tire in the rear go out.
Oh,
so
no.
In like 36, 34 degree weather, already freezing cold, I am on the side of the highway in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, changing a tire. And that entire situation, most of it got remedied by the time I went home. I still didn't have heat on the way home. Most of all that stuff got remedied, and it was fine. But I'm making my way back home, car's acting nice, things are doing fine, until I get to Atlanta. And Kaji, as somebody who recently went through Atlanta, I'm sure you can attest to their traffic.
I didn't go anywhere near the middle of Atlanta, and that was by choice. I had folks I could have met up, and no.
Yeah.
I turned off at McDonough, right? And I was literally driving in the emergency lane for about 600 to 700 meters because I was turning off, but the traffic was just stopped.
Yeah.
Tractor trailers and cars intermingled as far as the eye could see.
So needless to say, that is a testament to the terribleness of Atlanta traffic.
Oh boy.
I started to have my clutch master cylinder go out in the middle of Atlanta.
Oh no.
Yes. So I dealt with that. I stayed at a friend's house overnight. He was thankfully enough of a car guy that he's like, he had a BMW Z3. He was a very, very nice guy. Helped me out. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, you're staying here overnight. That's awesome. We'll figure this out in the morning. And then, yeah, next day hold on, let me just adjust his volume a little bit so we can pump him up a little bit to get Kaji on the board. But, yeah, next morning we threw some .3 in there. He gave me a big, like a quart of .3. He's like, you're going to need this. Your carpet's wet. You're going to need this. So, yeah, I managed to limp the thing home. Every P stop, every fuel stop was also a put more clutch fluid in the master cylinder so that it can squirt everywhere along the bottom of the carpet in my interior stop. But it made it. And then shortly after, I replaced both slave and master cylinders, and still had a vampiric mystery leak for the remainder of the time that I owned it. It was very sad, but I still adore it, despite all of its flaws and despite what it did to me. I adore that stupid thing.
And still a fan of Toyota to this day.
To this day, I don't know what exactly grabbed me by it, but I'm a fanboy.
Understandably.
So I'll take the next swing if nobody has objections.
None at all. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I don't remember what year this took place, but this was back when I was still driving semi-trucks over the road, which would frequently involve me being away from home for 3, 4, 5 weeks at a time, home for a handful of days, and back on the road again. Your life gets, excuse me, pretty compressed with a schedule like that. And I really wanted myself a project car, and I wanted specifically a Mustang. Specifically, a Fox body Mustang. Yes, I know. Ironic. So I went out hunting for one, scouring the interwebs, and this was during my trip home. I found one on Facebook Marketplace, this very exact one, and it was everything that I wanted. It was a 93 GT, and the previous owner had done a bunch of mods that I really liked about it. It's got the Cobra wheels, it's got the cowl hood.
That's a good looking thing.
It's a very good looking car, and I was excited about it. You can advance forward a few steps if you like. This was after I had picked it up. There's my old Volvo in the background. She was a good ship too.
The wagon.
Yeah, it was everything that I wanted in a project car, and I was super excited about it. Went to look at this thing in the rain, which is a mistake. And it was sitting in the guy's front yard, so I didn't exactly want to lay on the ground and look underneath it, but I was going back out on the road in a couple of days, so I was feeling under pressure to buy this thing in a hurry. So guess what I didn't do? I didn't drive it because it wasn't registered.
Yeah.
And I didn't have it taken to a shop and put up on a lift to get inspected. I heard it run, and that was about it, and it got driven up onto the trailer. And I was out $4,700. Talked him down from $5,000. So we can extrapolate and assume he was really only looking for $4,000. And the guy was a bit sketch too. He just had that kind of weird, shady, greasy vibe about him. But, you know, you live, you learn.
I resemble
So-
that, Mark.
So, got the thing registered and started driving it. Yep, those were the plates, probably the dumbest plates ever. 00BLBL.
Blah, 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 blah.
Was that
Yeah, it made
intentional, or?
it made that noise too. But yeah, when I first took this thing out on the road for real, you know, I was excited. It made all the right noises. It was a manual, and I was having a good old time.
For real, meaning you goose the shit out of it.
Oh, absolutely. But I noticed as I was doing that, it felt like the back end was kind of kicking out. And I'm like, well, that's weird. I don't hear the tires breaking loose, but the tires are kind of old, whatever. And then I noticed every time I let of the throttle, it would kind of snap back in line again. And it's like, that's not normal.
Yeah.
So I drove it an hour away to my friend's shop, and they put it up on the lift. And cue the horror music, because this is where the scary stuff starts. What you're looking at there is what's known as the torque boxes, which is a part of the structure of the car. It's what the lower control arms for the rear connect to. And you can see they're all rusted out. Someone's tried to weld them. That one is... That right-hand side was almost completely disconnected from the vehicle.
Yeah,
I don't know what was actually
near to
holding it
non-existent.
there. So yeah, every time I would step on the gas, the whole rear-end geometry would shift. And yeah, we all concluded this thing is not safe to be on the road. And that was cracked. And if you advance forward, yep, that's a crack in the subframe.
Ooh. Oh
This-
no!
Yeah, this
How
was taken,
even?
Yeah. I spoke with a friend of mine about that who did some metal work. Well, my cousin. And he's like, oh, I can fix that. I can fabricate something up and I can weld that up for you. Just strip the guts out of the car and bring it to me and we can fix it. And we just kept finding stuff like this and this.
Oh, wow.
See,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
daylight. Oh.
That's daylight. And this,
Oh,
Yeah.
oh no. Oh no.
and this.
What, did he, like, launch this thing, send its nose into the air, and then crash it back down and not do anything about it?
Well, at this point, I decided this thing is completely. My friends and
It's
I just
roached.
decided this thing is complete trash. It's done for. It's a total loss. I got in touch with a friend of my father who really likes Fox Body Mustangs, and he has a few of them. And he came over to look at it because he said he might be interested in buying it for parts because he liked the motor, liked the transmission, and a few other things on it.
Yeah, I mean, the interior alone is excellent.
Oh yeah, the interior was in spectacular shape.
I think that's great. I can also see your headset there in the passenger seat, by the way.
Yeah, my trucker welcome to Taco Bell headset. Yeah, it had an aftermarket cam in it. It had 373 gears in the back, which by the way made first gear completely useless. It was redlining before you hit 10 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, no, I drove an 84 GT350 that had 373s in the rear, and yeah, the first gear is a burnout gear. Second gear is your actual going gear.
Yeah, you could take off in second easily until the rear end decided it wanted to go a different direction than the rest of the car.
Yep.
Party time.
Slideways.
Well, when he came over to look at this thing, as soon as he popped the hood, he's like, "Oh yeah, this thing's been wrecked." And he started pointing out lots of subtle little things that if you didn't know these cars inside and out, you'd never pick up. Such as the body lines for the right-hand fender didn't line up correctly with the bumper or the windshield. And it also didn't have the Ford stamp on it, which meant it was an aftermarket part. He's like, yeah, somebody slid this thing sideways into a wall hard.
Yeah,
Oof.
that'll do it.
And did a half-ass job of repairing it. He said it looks like it slid out, hit a curb, hit a wall, and the whole nose got pushed over and everything was just hastily slapped back together.
Put it back together so we can sell it and make it not our problem.
Yep, and that gentleman that sold me that thing was probably laughing all the way to the bank at this dumb kid that just handed him $4,700 for a $1,000 parts car, because that's what I got back out of it.
Shame I didn't have my Mustang at the time. I would have bought it off you.
Well, in any case, it haunts my nightmares to this day, and to anyone who's looking at buying a used car, don't do it in a rush. Don't do it in the rain. Take it to a shop and have it inspected, and if the owner won't let you do that, just walk away.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Any
on that
reputable
sad...
seller, always be happy for you to take your time.
But
Yeah,
on
anybody
that
that's legit.
sad note, Kaji, it's you.
Oh no.
Unless you want me to vamp for you and kill a little bit of time, because I do have one other that was kind of it's a small tragedy.
I was actually going to suggest we could split it up a little bit because we've got quite a bit of remaining time. But first up, why don't you show some beauty shots of my little nightmare?
Oh, your little nightmare? I would be happy to show some beauty shots of that because it's quite pretty. I'm not going to lie.
Mustangs that aren't a tragedy.
Yes.
Yes, the current nightmare.
The big-nosed beauty.
Blue.
Oh, I love the
Mustang
blue.
Nightmare.
Where the hood not only goes up, but about 3 feet forward when you open it.
Oh yes. Also, the current plate on it is a bit of a horse rope.
Make sure I'm going the right direction here. Oh, no, I don't have a view of the back. I take that back.
Sorry, my computer's taking a burp. Is it working?
I
Yeah,
don't know where we're looking for it to work, so...
Oh yeah, okay, we're good then.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, no. For those that I apologize. Stuff broke for a moment there, and my computer doesn't have quite enough RAM for all of this. Come on, Discord.
Poor thing.
Back here. Okay, yes, this is my 1971 Mark I. Just a 2-barrel job. I've done quite a bit of work on it over the last couple of days. Not as much as I would have liked, but I keep on running into small things that need my attention. But regardless, it's had a fuel pump in it. Needs a new sender unit. One is coming. Cleared out a fuel line which was partially blocked. Reconfigured the fuel lines in the engine bay, so I've got better pressure. And today it started and ran.
Which is a heck of a thing. I mean, especially whenever you get anything running. I remember my last project when I had the 81 CB900C, and I had that thing. I'd basically taken it from a full and complete bike and storage to hover bike mode with no seat, no tires, all of everything just torn apart. And then the first time it actually kicked over and ran, I was thrilled. So that is
Quite a moment.
It's a big moment. So what I can do is I'm going to go ahead and change things over so that these guys are going to be able to see once I do the thing. Here we go. So I think yours is the 6 minute or 6 second.
Yeah.
Runs like shit, but it beats not running.
That is true. Oh, that's a thing for later.
Yes.
Just extra spooky stuff for you. Let me get these guys visualized back again.
Yeah, first time I got my mitts on that thing, I got it running, but then it sat for a while with the heads off. The heads were reconditioned, but weren't immediately refitted, and as a result, it got a bunch of water sitting in a couple of the bores. I did my best to smooth them back out. It's not a perfect job, so I'm pretty sure the seal on those cylinders won't be as good as it is in others. But yeah, it runs competently. I've just got to go through the ignition system, make sure all the leads are good, make sure all the plugs are good. The carburetor seems to be doing its job. Today I reconnected, well, I should say I connected for the first time the controller for the cooling. It's now got a electronic fan controller plugged in.
Ooh.
And yeah, I've just got to get an adapter to put the sensor in the water jacket. But once that's done, it should be ace.
Nice.
Mm.
And that's some good progress. That is, I mean, going from what I remember last time, where you're like, yeah, we're just going to be doing structural stuff and making sure it's done, to now this visit, you're physically running under its own life, and petrol is huge.
Mm.
And then tires are also
Alive.
Oh, did I sent you the video of the sender, didn't I?
Yes, you
Check
did.
that up.
Yeah, let me do that. Oh yeah, from old and busted to new hotness right there on the front, if you notice.
Yeah, it was
Yes,
only
I
flat
changed
on the
the
bottom.
tire.
So let me quay
And
that
look
up
at you
real quick.
using wheel chocks. Won't the health and safety people be happy with you?
Where's the sender
Safety
video? There it is.
We were totally prepared.
Totally.
Oh yeah, just
I hate American petrol so much. How the fuck does this even happen?
excuse my
There's
French.
holes all over my sender. And look at this sock. This is 2 years old. I hate American petrol.
There you go.
Yeah. Which that is a thing that happens. That's just our fuel.
I don't get it. American fuel. God.
I wish I had something more to tell you about it, man. I really do. It's terrible.
But yes, it's taken a bit of time. I've still got a seat to mount up. I'm just going to order a bracket for that. I was actually going to modify the sliders that came with the seat to mount it to the floor, but it's
All
It's
people
not
mods.
too much effort. It's just I don't have all my tools here, so
Yeah, and that's always the difficult thing about doing any kind of thing from home, or away from home, I should say, is you can pre-plan and you can think about what you might run into 1,100,000 times over, but the things that are going to go wrong are the things you don't necessarily think about.
Yep, the things you've got a tool for in a drawer about 16,000 k's away.
Mm-hmm.
When your trip to work on your project car involves an Airbus. Or a Boeing.
I had both.
Hopefully the Boeing,
Oh.
honestly.
Yeah, preferably the Boeing.
Honestly, it depends. Some of the Airbuses I've had better experiences on. A380s are nice.
Fair.
They ride good.
Because they're big.
Well, yeah.
Like
Still
your
also
Mustang.
A350 XLR. When those come up, that's going to be nice.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's been much of a horror story, though, for you. Which is
No,
good.
that's
Which
kind
is
of a
it's very positive.
Success story.
Yes. Bringing to life, we're
It's just my nightmare haunting my dream.
Yeah, the constant, it's on in the back of your mind of, oh, it's over there in the States. And not only that, it's in the southern United States. No offense to any of our listeners that are down there. Yeah.
But this is why Kaji is our automotive necromancer.
Yes. Can travel
before
halfway
I'll
around the
bring in-
world and still bring the thing to life.
Well, yes, soon I hope to be bringing my WRX back from the dead.
Ah, yes, that's right. You have you've gotten some goodies for that while you've been over there as well, haven't you?
Oh, yes. Head bolts and head gaskets, and, well, engine gasket in general. Multi-layer steel engine gasket.
Which is important. I mean, that's the stuff you need, and it's going to make the difference.
Sure is. But yes, the WRX should be easier, though, because it can tell me what's wrong.
Yeah, these are, especially these old vehicles, are more guesswork. But thinking about it, we still have a decent amount of time here. Tam, you sent me an awful interesting thing. Do you want to cover that?
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about cars in costume. Trick or treat.
Because it's the Halloween season, this is definitely, I would call this a treat.
Yeah, I would give this car all the treats.
Yes,
Just
it
take my bucket of candy.
handily deserves it because look at it. Just look at it. Absolutely gorgeous. And this is a name that, if you are familiar with the automotive community, you'll know very well. Icon. You know, the guys that they're famous for FJs. I think they've done some Broncos as well, if I'm not mistaken. And then a couple of other little just like neat one-offers that are just really, really cool.
It made some pretty spectacular cars, yeah.
Absolutely.
And with this thing, they provided us with quite a gallery, but they basically took an old Mercedes and stuffed some modern guts in it. This is everything that a resto mod should be.
Oh, which that car doesn't belong anywhere else other than California with that look. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's absolutely gorgeous. And that big rear door, you just know that it's meant to, of course, the driver is going to be very comfortable and they're going to be good, but the passengers are really what this is designed around.
Yeah, usually despot dictators.
Yes, but
Not the SEL. The SEL is for the person who wants to drive their friends around. You're thinking of the Grosser.
yes. But I mean, that's the beauty of this car, and I think that's what really I adore about it, is the fact that if you're just looking at it like, again, say on the highway, just looks like an old Mercedes. Maybe they threw some different rims on it, but it just looks, it's still got its patina. It's still got the clear coat fade all over. It's not got any kind of special looking plate.
It would
Unless you
break
look at
my neck
that.
if I saw that. It would break my neck if I saw it going down the highway, even in stock form, I'll admit.
Yes, admittedly, absolutely. But two
The only
things
thing
give it
that
away.
caught my attention, like it'd take a moment because there's normally a 6.9 badge there, so I'd just be like,
Yeah. The other thing that would make me kind of go like, Wait a moment. Is right
Well, look at
back
those tires.
here.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a dead giveaway if you're looking back. Like, why are they that fat? Mercedes don't need that fat a tire.
Oh, I don't know. The stock 6.9s were pretty chunky engine.
True.
For me, it'd be the fact that the wheels were so far upsized.
Yeah, the rims themselves are...
'Cause it's a little sneaky, but you're not hiding it
Woo!
from me.
Well, look what they shoved in there.
Ooh. That is a... If I'm not mistaken, that's a supercharger out of a ZL1 Corvette?
Yeah, that's basically the guts out of a ZL1 Corvette.
Yeah, I
no.
knew I recognized that because that was the Corvette that had the window up front that would show you the supercharger.
And I do
That was
appreciate
so
that not only did they give it a bunch of go, but they gave it some woe to back it up.
Yeah, the
Hello,
Willowwood. That's important. You need to be able to stop if you're going to be able to go fast, and especially in a car like that is no doubt a little bit of a tank.
You
But-
gotta wonder though, was that
Oh.
better than the original system or not? Mercedes-Benz seriously over-engineered in that department,
That's true.
but nonetheless,
Still, just, I mean, the interior itself is... I mean, that's artwork, if you ask me. That's brilliant, beautiful design.
Needs a Grant GT steering wheel though, doesn't it, Kaji?
no. Those
No,
are for project cars.
Just the exquisite, gorgeous
Like
wood
all of
grain.
mine.
Simple gauges up top. Another little bit of wood grain past the leather that just makes it look just mwah, chef kiss. I adore that.
Those are definitely modern gauges, but they
Oh,
look
yes.
like they belong there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Mind going back? No, they look like the stock gauges, I'm afraid.
they might well be.
Maybe it's just that they look way too clean.
They're usually pretty clean. The way that they designed them, they're somewhat UV protected, and they're by VDO. So,
Maybe.
But you know what? If
Video
you want to
was
read along on this one for yourself and see whether, I mean, because I honestly, I just looked at this and said, ooh, pretty, and by icon, yeah, we're going to throw it in there. But if you want to read along for yourself, we'll throw the link for this article up in the descriptions of all the videos so that you can go back and take a look at it and get all the dirty, sexy details of this fine, fine German automobile.
filthy.
Well, German, sort of.
Sort of. Hybridized.
German as in breakfast.
Oh man, I was almost going to make a joke there, but I didn't. I didn't think of the project name in time. I was going to call this. What was the project where they brought the scientists from?
Oh, not paperclip. Come on.
Yeah, it's like this is a very it's a Project Paperclip of a Mercedes right here.
Oh, no.
That's a deep cut for history buffs.
Yeah, really. And look back on it, it's fun. But it makes sense for this little thing too. I mean, oh no, look at there. You got some digital.
It's the OG gauge, though. They've just cut the digital in. That's pretty.
Yeah, they've taken out the rollers and put in an LCD screen, which is quite clever. It's cheeky.
It's neat.
Oh, and just so pretty.
Why did they put real seat belts in the back? Come on, guys. No lap belts. It's not 1969 anymore.
Just don't crash then.
That's not how that works. Especially not
Just-
with several hundred horsepower worth of V8 stuffed into an old Mercedes.
Yeah,
Just don't crash.
that's a very well. I mean, the tires help, but that's still very difficult to do with a 6.2 supercharger. Believe me, I've driven
kinda
one of
wonder-
those. Oh,
I do kind of wonder how it would have gone if they had have supercharged the original engine, because the motor that's in there is it's the 109 or the 113, and I can't remember which. I'm very sorry, Mercedes people. The motor that's in there is known for being tough and developing power in race format. So it's also
Well,
a single 11 head cam, not push rod.
They did what they did, and we appreciate it.
absolutely. I mean, the Icon guys are absolutely mad, and we would be very sad if they stopped being crazy.
Yes, indeed.
All electric 49 Mercury coupe. Interesting.
It's cool
I'm gonna have to
looking,
go
too.
back and peek at that one.
Well,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's right. They threw it with a Tesla. That's right.
That's
I can't
right.
remember this build.
More cars and costumes.
Yeah, I mean that's what
On
Icon
its
does, though.
But yeah, it's got the traditional Merc look down.
Yes, and
Absolutely.
the patina is there, which I appreciate. They didn't go with that like midnight black street Saturday night kind of look to it. They kept it. No, this is a Merc. This is the 49 Merc in its original form. They didn't do the lowrider look. They just kind of made it tasteful, which again, they can appreciate that a whole bunch.
I love the
That's
low
not
rider
stock,
look,
though.
not gonna lie. No, it is not.
No, but it's cool.
That's a very little trick piece of tech that they just threw in there into something that just looks ancient.
It's so simple. I love it.
Just
I can
bear with
appreciate
me,
that.
gentlemen, as I'll have to fulfill our quota here. Why wouldn't they have used the real engine? They should have used the real engine. Better dinosaurs.
Thank you
Shut
to
up,
our
Boomer.
resident boomer.
Whoa.
Oh.
Do it. No one else is going to do it. Did you all forget the 2 control units sitting like that? Man.
I mean, they're trying to mock an actual 8 engine, which I can get.
Come on, it looks sick.
It does look sick.
It does.
That's awesome.
I
The
like
end
what
with the
they
heated
did with
strands are
it.
looking like a radiator. I love it. Well, I mean, technically it is still a radiator. It's just doing a different job. Shut up.
Can you just imagine how much my tiny little fox brain would snap in half if I saw that thing pulling away from a light completely silent?
Not only from a light completely silent, but imagine you're at your local grocery store and they have the 2 electric car chargers that are always out in front, right where like the pregnant lady post used to be, and that pulls up and plugs in.
Everyone would be like, look at this asshole.
What? Hold on.
Yeah. At first, you'd just be like, goddamn, stupid entitled car guys making us look bad. And then you see them pull up the thing and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
then you
what we
realize they
call.
actually plugged in.
Yeah, that's what we call Karen bait right there. You can't be parked here. This is
Shut
for
up.
electric cars only.
Shut up, Karen.
How many kilowatt hours do you have? Because I got 90.
Uh-huh. No, that's a delight. Those Icon guys are mad lads, and I don't know what the automotive world would do without them, because they're doing funky stuff like this, which I totally appreciate. You don't have to throw... Not only do you not have to keep a classic engine in these, you do not have to throw a modern crate in them. You can take them even further forward in the future if you have the time, the money, and the know-how. And I think we're going to see more and more and more of these kinds of things happening, especially with Ford, as far as I remember. And you'll have to excuse me on this. Ford
The F100, was it?
Yes, it was the F100. F100. Yes,
Yeah,
the Illuminator concept, which they did with the EV crate motor that the people can buy. You can keep your old Ford truck and make it EV. Now, if you don't want to, you don't have to, because, hey, that's the world out there. Some people like burning dinosaurs and whatever. But if you want to keep your old classic Ford into the future, there's EV options. And Ford Motor has actually offered that now.
The truck that they picked for that, the 78, 79 F100, those are now expensive.
Yes,
so.
they are rising in value so stupid fast. All of the
Ridiculous.
old, I mean, now the Fords are rising as fast as the square bodies. The square body Chevys should be.
Someone offered me 5 for mine, and mine has a blown engine. And it's got cab rust in the floor, and it's got dents in the roof and the quarter panel, and it's got a dent in the bonnet, and they still offered me 5, and I don't know what to think about that.
It's just like when Tam was on the road. Somebody's looking for a project car. And
I'll tell you what you think about it. Shut up and give me your money.
kind of, there's
Nah.
everybody always has a price, unless you have like a physical, emotional attachment to that car, which so many people do. And I think that's something that needs to be recognized and talked about. Is, you know, people gain attachments to their cars like that, where they're very sentimental and they mean a whole lot. But short of that, if it's just something you're working on for the fuck of it or for the fun of it, then somebody comes up and offers you the right dollar amount, you're going to go, well, that's not my problem anymore. Now it's yours.
Have fun.
Yeah, like I'll tell you what I know is wrong with it, but no warranties expressed or implied. As soon as you leave this driveway, that shit's yours.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah, me too. In fact,
The Sylvia was probably the biggest example of that for me, and a little bit of a nightmare in and of itself.
what year?
It was a 1991 Sylvia Case.
Not Silkia, but fun. Sylvia K. So tell us about it.
Okay.
Oh,
you
the
see that
K's, they're
chocolate car?
so good looking.
Everyone had one of those in Gran Turismo. It was
Yeah.
one of the starter
Top
cars.
left. Top left.
Left.
Top left.
Top left. Red?
That's the
Your-
right.
Your, other left ear.
Oh, left. Yeah. Well, you know.
Just like that. The only thing is I had projected, not bricks. Like that. Except that's also a colorway that is not available in the Ks. That's a different set of colors.
I'm working with Google image search here, man. You gotta give me some cred.
Okay. But yeah, the one that you had up a moment ago, that's also a 1992, not a 1991. Ask me how I know. But anyway, those ones, that's the, essentially the car I had. A 1991 Sylvia Case. Mine was in cream over gold, as that car up the top left is.
Yep.
I bought it under the assumption that it was fine, just automatic. And drove it home, and it drove home fine, and it boosted fine, and it ran okay, and it didn't have any problems, and the little chime worked, and it was everything. Go over 100 k's an hour, and it started making dinging noise at you. It was great. But yeah, so I ran it for a little while and got the parts together to do a manual conversion for it because they were starting to get harder to find. This is about 2017 or so. And then it blew a head gasket. Not unheard of, especially with cars that have been sitting for a while, haven't been driven. This is why you run cars frequently, by the way. You want to keep...
Cars don't like to sit.
No, they don't. So yeah, blew a head gasket, and I thought, cool. Whatever, I'll get a new set of head bolts and a new head gasket. Then I got informed that the head bolts are not one use only. They are, in fact, use again. So I was like, all right, cool. Those head bolts can stay in the box. That's fine. Got 95% through the process of a head gasket swap and snapped a bolt off in the block.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. So then, pulled that motor. Excuse me. Car sat in the garage for a while until I managed to source a replacement motor that came off a drift car that had previously been making about 400 horsepower at the wheels.
Whew.
I put a S15 ball bearing turbo on it as a replacement for the original turbocharger. Put it on a nice little manifold, set it up, and it did not want to run. Didn't want to start, didn't want to run. So did some diagnostics and figured out it was the ECU. Cool, replaced the ECU. No problems at all. Did not want to run. Figured out it was not the ECU and that something had nibbled a part of the wiring harness. So I replaced the in-bay wiring harness.
Oh, no.
Replaced the ignition coils after the ignition coils went bad. Did the manual swap while the car was still not running, but, you know, you do what you do. And got it to the point where it could move itself backwards and forwards and had a lot of smoke coming from the exhaust. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I want this car to be my problem anymore. Then a friend offered me some money for it. That's probably one of the only cars I've sold without being fixed.
Yeah, the right person, the right time, and the right dollar amount.
It's
That's
their
it.
problem now.
Yes. And it was becoming a little bit of a nightmare, to be honest, because when I sold it, which was about late 2019, they were starting to get ridiculous. Oh, yeah. You see that front bar in that image there?
That's a model, but
God.
yeah.
But that
Yotie,
front
you
bar is
you distracted him.
that front bar is an aero bar. You can't find one of those for less than $1,000.
I'd believe
Doesn't
it.
matter if it's in terrible condition.
Yeah, that's Sylvia's now. That's just what they cost.
And that's why I was getting out of my Sylvia, because it was just getting ridiculous. I already had a front-engine rear-wheel drive car I could enjoy, my Toyota 86. I already had a turbocharged car I could play with, my WRX. I'd managed to organise getting close to getting that back by that point. And yeah, just decided, no, I'm done. I'm done with hunting people for parts who aren't there when I get there. I'm done with dealing with drift people who say that my part, which I want money for, isn't worth what I want for it, and then want to charge me twice as much as something is worth to get something back off them. I am done with this platform. So I'll probably never own another S chassis. I hate to say it, but
It's unfortunate, but that's the way that world is going.
yeah, it's dumb. Like, if it's a Skyline and it's a rarer one, fair enough, the parts are expensive. But why the hell are people trying to charge $800 for a cargo cover for a 180SX? People used to throw them away at drift events, and now they're just like, oh, the ultimate car. I'm like, all right, cool, go away.
Yeah.
The same people who used to say these are never going to be worth money are now demanding stupid money for them. And
Yes.
that's, I think, what annoys me the most.
So
Anyway, Range
with
Rover.
that, we'll kind of start bringing it home a little bit. I have one more quick story to tell. There's not much to tell about it because it's a very fast story. So if anybody has anything in the chat that they want to add, if anybody has any questions, any comments, anything else you want to do, we can do that real quick. But I'll just very fast talk about one of my other mistakes.
Yeah. If anyone's lurking around in the chat, say hello, and Kaji will say g'day back.
Right. So again, this was after my Impala. My Impala had blown up at that point, I think. What's up, John? How you doing?
Hey.
So this is at a time where after my beloved 1968 Impala had blown up, it had blown its motor. I still had... No, actually, I take that back. That was before I had actually retrieved it. So there was a period of time where I still had this old classic car, but it was sitting far enough away that I couldn't access it. But I needed something to drive. So I scraped a bunch of money together, as much as I could. And on the advisory of somebody that was another car guy that I was living with at the time, it's like, hey, this is a pretty solid little platform. This is something that usually runs forever. Why don't you go in and grab it and just take a look at it, pick it up. And so I went and I bought myself a 1989 Audi 90. It was a 5-cylinder. Yes. My particular flavor was silver, like this one. It was a 5-cylinder, 5-speed manual, not a quattro. It was a front-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive. And I talked to the guy, and yeah, I've got these service records, and it's been in our family for years and years. And yeah, it's just a great little... The exterior was beautiful. The interior was great. It smelled like leather, like it should. And I was like, okay, well, I'll be back in a couple of days with the money, and we'll make the exchange, and we'll go. So come back a couple of days later, make the handoff. I've got the title. He's got the money. I start driving it. About 3, maybe 4 blocks down the road, it starts having problems.
And by then, the warranty has expired.
Yes, it is. You left the driveway. That shit's yours now. I should have actually gone back and been like, hey, your car's on the side of the road. It's not moving now. I don't know what happened to it, but it's not my problem. Here's your title. Where's my money? I should have done that. What I instead did was I enlisted my friend who had a Lincoln Mark 5? Like Lincoln Mark 5 with a hitch. And we got a U-Haul tow dolly, and we threw this thing on the tow dolly. It looked like it was going to come through the back window of the Lincoln on the way home, but we got it to the garage. And we started playing with it and futzing with it, and we ripped off the split, the half shafts, and we tore everything apart. We got the transmission out, and once we got the transmission stood on its end, and we took off the back cover, it just turned into its own very rendition of Silent Night as little tinkles just kind of ding 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 started falling out of the case that were once the bearings of the transmission. There was zero fluid in the transmission.
Oh, no.
None. We did some research, and if we were lucky, if we got super lucky, and it hadn't overheated itself in order to bend all of the internals of the transmission, there are 5 to 6 bearings in that transmission, and they are all $80 a piece to get back.
And they're all press fit.
They're all press fit. So after that point, once we saw the bearings sprinkling all over our garage floor, we said, sounds like it's time for this to be somebody else's problem. So
that had to make a hell of a spectacular noise when it went too.
It made a sound. I'm not gonna lie. I've never heard a sound like it since or before. When that thing just decided to be like, I'm gonna stop working. I really wanted that car to work because it was such a cool thing. It looked so good on the exterior. It was smart. It was tiny. It was compact. It was just what I wanted and needed. But also, as we dove into it a little bit more, we figured out, yeah, that 5-cylinder, yeah, the guy just like, if he didn't know where the vacuum line went, he just kind of stuck a pencil in there and broke it off in the line.
You're not kidding too, John. Especially with those older German cars, if the transmission's gone, it's a pricey part to replace.
Yeah, that's something that we just decided, you know what? You paid $2,500 for it? Count your losses? Go find a Honda. So we sold it for the body and the motor, because the motor still worked for the most part. And we actually got it running better by the end of the day. But the transmission, we straight up told people right out the gate, hey, you're buying this thing. It's got a roach transmission. We'll include it, but it just, don't.
Take it to the scrappies.
Yeah.
Get the money back.
So that was my last, and that is why actually to this day I have not revisited another German car.
A good reason.
I have been scared off because of this particular model, because of that experience. I have said, I think I'm just gonna maybe not.
They're great when they're new, but they don't age well.
That is precisely what I have discovered about most German cars, is that they're great during the warranty period. As soon as your bumper-to-bumper ends, sell it and don't look back. Because once they're engineered beautifully, they work wonderfully when they're working. When they start breaking is when mechanics have to start working on things, and it becomes very, very expensive because mechanics and engineers are two separate minds.
Either that, or you get to work on it, and oh boy.
Prepare to scream.
Hello, Special Tools. How are you today?
Yeah. Hi there, oddball, obscure-sized, weird fasteners.
Take out your 13.5mm socket.
Yes, your starter is installed with some things that looks a little bit like a circlip, but it's not. Why?
You might try to use a circlip of equivalent size, but if you do, you will find it binds starter housing vent gauge.
And then your flywheel will be dead too.
We have a chatter horror story from John.
I love this. Similar experience, but just with Xterras. Which, you know what? I've had a friend that had an Xterra, and he raved about the thing, but who knows? Told to stay away from them, but listen, of course not. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all had that guy who's just like, oh, hey, yeah, don't buy this. It's unreliable. No, I'm going to get this. It's going to be just fine. No, got 2 of them, and eventually failed to the transmission electric system failing. Oh, man, yeah.
Once you get the auto Alex involved, that gets expensive too.
Yeah. No, I kind of have a similar story where my brother-in-law was looking for an SUV because is an officer down in Memphis, and he just wanted something that's like, I have room to throw all my stuff when I'm done for the day. It's comfortable. It's nice on the highway. What should I get? And I gave him a couple recommendations, and they ended up going with the Ford Explorer. I told them, don't. And they're like, oh, why? It's a Ford. It'll be fine. He's put 3 transmissions in it. So
yeah, they were kind of garbage.
Yeah, the Exploder lived up to its name. So similarly, I'm just like, dude, I'm a car guy. You need to trust me. I may have a bias, but at the same time,
don't walk, run.
Yeah.
It's like I was trying to tell someone back home who was looking in Explorer, don't. And they asked me why, and I said,
oh, the Lotus Evora?
It's the parts. And I was like, it was difficult to explain to them that the only Explorers we got were the configuration you don't want. A fully loaded out, that semi full-time all-wheel drive system that they've got?
Uh-huh.
We got them fully loaded out with that all-wheel drive system and the V6, which means the 5-speed automatic, the one that brakes.
Yeah. No, see,
as a result, what fails in those? Transmissions.
Of course.
A lot.
Of course. Now, see, my experience with the Evora comes from a different place, because I used to, when I lived in Seattle, I worked for a short amount of time, probably 4-ish months, because the dealership owners were man-children and decided to berate their employees in front of customers, which I just didn't really vibe with. But they sold new Lotus and new Aston Martin. The new Aston Martins were actually probably the more reliable of the vehicles they had on the lot. But they did have some Lotus Evoras. And the biggest problem with them is that, especially with our dealership, not many people came by to look at a Lotus. So when they want to look at a Lotus, oh, crap, the battery's dead. How do you get to the battery? It's in the front boot, and it's got an electric release on the front boot.
Yep.
So you have to go through this entire song and dance just to get this stupid thing open, to get to the battery that is dead after sitting for maybe 2 weeks. Like, they need to be driven. They need to be driven, they either need to be on battery tenders or you need to drive them regularly. Otherwise, you're going to have just the worst time of your life. And yeah, that's my experience with Lotus. I know the Esprits are better? ? If you call that better.
Certainly more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, there are good Lotuses out there, but then there's the Evora, which tried to be too many things at once, and it's just not good really at any of them.
Yeah, it came from a poor period, Lotus.
And yeah, regarding the next chat from John, I'm going to call BS on anyone that says, "Oh, American cars are bad, German cars are bad, Japanese cars are bad."
No, it's the owner.
Well, or like every country's and every company.
Well, there are always misses.
Crap cars.
Yeah, there are always misses in the production line where you're just going like, that was just a bad idea from the start. But by and large, if there's enough cars on the road, like the Xterra, for instance, there's enough of those even still to this day on the road, where I think it's less necessarily about, it may be a particular year that if you look on Consumer Reports or something, it's just like, yeah, no, this year was just a fluke. They're just bad. But by and large, if you're buying something that you can still see and find on the road today, 9 times out of 10, you just have to find a good owner, and that's going to be a good car. If you find a bad owner that didn't keep up with their regular maintenance or didn't keep up with replacements or didn't, when things get recommended, like, hey, you need to replace this thing because it's going to cause problems. Oh, well, no, I don't need to do it right now. It's still driving fine. Yeah.
Hey, another member of the Forerunner crew.
Yeah, all right. The Forerunner, yeah, dude. I have a 2005. It's almost 20 years old, almost 200,000 miles, and that thing still runs like a freaking top. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
Another thing people forget too is, so many manufacturers buy parts from the same component manufacturers.
Yes.
Such as, everyone who owned a vehicle that had Takata airbags.
For instance, for a very poignant reference.
Hundreds and hundreds of different vehicles from different manufacturers all had these faulty airbags that would basically be like shooting yourself in the face with a shotgun.
What's kind of
It
funny
wasn't
about
the
those is because
manufacturer's
they were
fault, it
designed
was
as
the component manufacturer's fault.
Yeah, and what was funny about those is they were designed as a service part, but then no one ever told the manufacturers they're a service part and replacing.
Which, you know,
Oops.
just brilliant. Good job, guys.
So we're running a little bit over time, but who cares? It's a special night.
It's
so
a fun
wanna
night. It's
do
been a good time.
Quick spotted in the wild lightning round?
Yeah,
Wow.
let's do it. Let's do some things. Hold on. Why don't we go ahead and we'll take the... Oh, goodness, excuse me. That is a little bit of Diet Pepsi there. Sam, why don't you go ahead and introduce the person who initially created our... Well, why don't you talk about the background we have now? Or actually, let's have the person we made create the background now talk about it. Then we'll go
Are you
over
sure?
to... Yeah. Then we'll
Final
go over
answer?
to who initially created the logo, and then we'll bring in some Spotted in the Wild, because I have to do some hunting, pecking, and downloading of files here. So, go on.
Yes, so the background that you see on screen right now was created by our very own Kaji.
But not by myself. That photograph that it's based on was a photograph taken by Collie Krieger, I suppose is the easy way to call him. Border Fluff, who lives out in Nevada and happens to like wandering the desert there and taking photographs. If you happen to be on Telegram, you can find a channel they've got called Collie's Calamities. They take photographs of interesting stuff.
That's delightful.
Yeah.
And then let me bring up our initial. So, Tam, go ahead.
Yeah, our friend of the channel, Yagoda, made our logo. If you have that handy, you can pop it up so people can see the original. Just in case we have some
Yeah.
newcomers. Yeah, there it is.
And welcome, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on by and listen to us vamp and talk about all our BS like we tend to do.
Yeah, Yagoda, wonderful artist, friend of the show, created that logo for us on the last minute, the day of our very first inaugural stream. So thank you to her for that.
I mean, and just a delightful logo, really well done, and under pressure too is just it's pretty incredible. And as you can see, that is now the moon, Det Mundo. I have my Spotted in the Wild and somebody else's that put it right there. Oh, Tam's. Kaji, do you have any Spotted in the Wild that you want to add to it, or we can just move right into that?
I'll send one.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, which anyone who's hanging out in the chat right now, if you spot a cool car in the wild, snap a picture, hop over to our Discord, upload it, and we will definitely show it on a future stream.
Dump it in there.
You
We're
can
going to
also
talk
click
about it.
up
We're going to
on
say
the
some
Twitter
stuff.
if you like.
So I'll go first.
We
since,
might even be nice to it.
Maybe. I mean, it depends. Mine, I'm definitely going to be only moderately nice to. But they are Spotted in the Wild. They are unique, and especially for the American Midwest, they're very strange finds. The first one was at, for those that don't know, I work locally here in the Chicagoland area as a ranger for a forest preserve district. And this was in one of our parking lots today, or the other day, I think yesterday, as I was driving around, and I was just kind of delighted by it. It was a little MGB. Definitely not in the nicest of shape. It's definitely just somebody's like, yeah, they uncovered it. They probably got it running, but it hasn't gone through a full restoration at all. And it's just something that's a little delight to see, especially next to modern cars like the Subaru, the Acura that's right there. It's a delightful little thing. It's just good to see that out on the road, even if it is in a little bit rough shape.
Nice to see them being driven.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
for
especially given the electronics that are in those. Very contentious to deal with at times, depending on who's fiddled with it beforehand.
That's easy. You just make sure you replace all the wire with Lucas grade wiring.
Yes, of course. That solves all of their problems. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Totally.
But as we've
Lying
shown,
slightly, but
as
only a
we've
little
shown in this episode, you never know what could be lurking under that hood.
Yeah, or necessarily. I mean, you lift up that car. I'm sure, being where we are, it's not going to be. It may not be the worst sight in the world, but it sure ain't going to be pretty up here.
bit. Oh no.
Next one I spotted out in the wild was a really fun one. It's a little Fiat
Hey.
just hiding in a dealership. Yeah, little tiny little bugger. Hiding on a roadside dealership, kind of in the more urban areas of the city when I was going on to the east side of the county. And it was just kind of a neat little thing that was peeking out. I'm like, hang on a second, stop for a minute. I gotta snap a picture of this one. It's kind of adorable and very uncommon around these parts.
Rear engine, rear wheel drive, the better part of 20 horsepower.
It's not here for a long time. It's here for a fun time.
It's a 911 Carrera for beginners.
Yeah, we'll call it that. We'll give it that just to bolster its ego a little bit.
Just
Just
run
in
with
case
that. That's
you're not keen to start with a Volkswagen Beetle.
Those two.
that's a little advanced. They make more power.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We won't go into. No, never mind. We won't go that direction with power and Volkswagen and the history. And yeah, we're not going to go there.
Come on, that's
No,
twice.
no. Stop it. Moving on to Tim, spotted in the wild. This is a delightful one. I actually adore these things, and I'm still kind of mixed about the nostrils on it, but I kind of do like them.
Well, what delighted me so much about this is I walked out of work and this was staring at me immediately outside the door, and we had just talked about these in our Crush It or Crushing On It episode.
Yes.
And we were all crushing on it.
Yeah.
Definitely crush that stupid Mustang.
Well, I'm trying
just
to close
love
windows. I got a lot of
that-
windows open.
Whoever had this thing, I want to buy them some sushi for that number plate. What
Yeah.
a perfect number plate. Kimochi. And if
Though
you
I
are not
would
a
want
nerd-
to ask them a few questions about the rims. But beyond that, love that you're keeping it alive.
Honestly, it's kind of hard to find original wheels for those by now.
I would imagine so. They're freaking weird.
Well,
The whole
that and
car
the
is
American
weird, but
ones
that's
with the
why I
aluminum
love it
steel
so
wheels.
much.
So,
But now, next
And it's-
other spotted in the wild
Oh, no.
/ what are you doing kind of news. Let me click on there.
Oh, yes. For everyone who's new here, I work in an aircraft mechanic shop as an apprentice A&P mechanic. And what you're looking at is the rear of an elevator on a Cessna 172 from the flight school at our airport, and one of the planes I've flown many, many times. What you're looking at is a static wick. It's meant to discharge static buildup from moving through the air. It has no moving parts. And if something on an airplane is not working, and it's not required for flight, all you have to do is disable that system and placard it inoperative, and then it's okay to fly, as long as it's still safe to fly. You do not need to placard a broken static wick as inop. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
it's so good though.
Yeah, that's
so
a
sorry.
synop. That'll be fine. Yep.
Yeah, it never operated in the first place. It's a passive system. It just sits there. It probably still works just fine, in fact.
But
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in that shop so far.
yeah, that's a pretty brain dead one. I'm not gonna lie. That's a roughin'.
That's fair. I haven't been in there yet.
Oh, it's a delightful place to be. I mean, you get to peek into all kinds of windows that you're not supposed to be in.
Yeah, I know.
No,
And there was
he was
something
referring to
dumb
the fact that if he was to walk in there, he would be the dumbest thing I'd ever seen.
in there.
I would doubt that.
Mister, I own 3 inoperative cars at home and 2 inoperative cars overseas.
They're just projects in motion. It's totally
They're
fine.
just sleeping.
Oh no! Stop tormenting me.
I'm trying to close windows. I apologize, but things are sticking. But yes, as to John's point, originally, Bumblebee. There is what we see Bumblebee, what created in the first movie when it transferred, but originally it was just a yellow beetle.
Yes.
And that's the modern takes on the movies, of course. But yeah, that's a scene right out of it from
Yep, and
2000.
when
do
I
our
went to
research
see
here.
that movie, when I went to see that movie in theaters, and Optimus Prime rolled in and was not a cab over, but was instead a 379 long-nosed Peterbilt, I very nearly dropped my popcorn and walked out of the theater.
Yeah, I do adore a cab over, but I just like cab overs in general. But yeah, the fact that it wasn't a cab over they chose a decent option. They chose the 379 Pete, which is
Iconic.
iconic, yes, especially amongst truckers. It is the truck, but at the same time, stay true. Just you can. But
I was
for-
growly
Start
enough
with
when
the
Bumblebee
body
was a Camaro.
yeah.
You should watch the Bumblebee movie. He was a Volkswagen in that to start with. It's actually pretty good. But am I spotted in the wild, perhaps?
Yeah. Do it. Oh,
Oh, something broke.
something is not happy. Why are you? What is the? Let's just go with that. Let's just open it up in good old Microsoft Paint.
Now you can draw stuff on it.
So,
Hold on.
yeah. What are you drawing on me, car? Snidely whiplash.
It has a mustache.
Couldn't help it. Anyways, go ahead.
No, I just need to be going beside it. Anyway, yes, I spotted a Holden SS. A Chevy SS.
I mean,
Same diff.
I mean, this one actually had the Holden package. All of the wheels and the steering wheel had Holden badges as well.
That's
So
quite
it had-
fantastic.
Yeah.
Wait, was that in the
rare.
States?
Yeah. That's
No
at,
shit.
That's at the local Walmart.
I should have known by the blue trolley that lady is pushing along.
And the weird blow molded rubbish bin, which is a very American thing. Those don't
Yeah.
exist.
And the no trespassing sign on the tree in the back.
Yeah.
this is my
Yeah, no,
tree,
that's-
damn it.
That's at the
Get off
local,
my land.
That's at the local community Walmart.
That's impressive to be in that part of Georgia and to be like, yep, nope, it's a Holden. And that probably confused the heck out of a lot of people. Also, I can still see that it is left-hand drive, so that is not your local, that is our local.
Yes. Well, it's
Yeah,
my
all-
local currently.
Yeah, well,
All
your
the
locale, but
All the
But what's
people
kind of-
in the U.S. that own the Pontiac G8 and the SS, and what was the other one? The GTO.
yes,
That switch them over to the Holden nose. Yeah, those people have taste.
yes, they do. But at the
What's
same
fun
time,
about
if
this
you
one-
roll into any Cars and Coffee and you've got Holden and you're not right-hand drive, they're going to call you out. Same thing as if you rolled in with my AE89 GTS and called it a Trueno, they would shiza all over you. Just be like, that's
Oh, yeah.
not a Trueno, get out.
As long as you're not trying to pass it off as a genuine import, I'm going to give you a pass.
Yeah, just
and
faithful
especially considering
recreation.
You could actually option these this way. Like, that's straight off a factory floor.
Really?
Here's the best bit. That's not the first one I've seen here. There's also a peacock green one here.
Which the green is
Yeah.
the way to go.
Yes. This one was being driven by a little Bahamian lady. It was really cool.
Well, props to them, because
Yeah, no.
you chose right.
Damn, Skippy. You get a big boot, you get rear wheel drive, you get enough power for the overtaking lane, you get reasonable fuel economy. Damn it, America, go and buy these things, even used.
Yeah, they're
Then again,
great
these days you
sleepers.
Probably can't afford to.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say they're very expensive.
At
They
this
really
point,
are. It's
yes.
hilarious.
go and find a Pontiac GTO for less than new money at this point. It's not really possible unless it's just thrashed.
What I thought was really funny about the Chevy SS especially is that, like, during its production run, nobody seemed to know they existed, and then afterwards everyone was just like, what? Hang on, you're saying I can have 425 horsepower in a rear-wheel drive car, and it's not a BMW and it doesn't cost BMW money? I'll have that.
Yeah.
And as a result, they are now worth more than they were new.
Yeah, people didn't realize that they were cool until GM killed Pontiac just as they were starting to bring in cool cars.
Uh-huh. And then
What the hell is a Hupmobile? I want to know what a Hupmobile is.
The what? Huh?
Hupmobile? Do you not know what a Hupmobile is?
No, I don't.
They're from.
I want to know what one is, though.
They ceased manufacturing in the early 1930s. They just make cars.
Searching,
It was
trying.
the mid-1930s.
Searching, thinking about it.
Probably not gonna find anything because whoa.
That's very cool.
Oh, they went later than I thought. There you go. There's a 41.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Well, all right then.
It looks like a kitchen appliance. I love it.
My apologies. They went later than I thought. A car that you might find interesting yourself, Tan, is the Rickenbacker.
I love their basses. They're a lovely bass guitar.
I'm not sure the two are related.
No, but I wanted to nerd out over Rickenbacker basses.
That's understandable. Go.
Yeah, 21, 20, 30, 35.
But
Oh,
20
there you
grand, you're getting a lot of car for 20 grand, though. Oh,
You
that
really
hood does
are.
not line up. That scares me.
Yeah, that's a little alarming. 10 grand, but
That's
then again.
Oh, it's an auto. Ew.
Well, I mean,
Okay, you can convert them easy.
yeah. They were good looking cars. I almost went after one of these at one
That
point.
one's actually in pretty good shape inside. Although it's a smoker car, you can see it.
Yeah, in
Oh,
all
yeah.
the film. Yeah.
Not even just the film. Stop. Look at the plastics.
Yeah.
You see the glazing.
Yeah, I'm an ex-smoker. I know what I did to them.
And I bet it's sticky.
It guaranteed is, and I guarantee
Oh,
if you
look at
spray
that
that
weather.
rearview
Ugh.
mirror, if you spray the rearview mirror, it's gonna drip yellow.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
The steering wheel cover.
Of course, the
Yeah,
steering
it's a
wheel
very-
cover.
It's a very ugly steering wheel.
It admittedly is,
I like them.
but you know what? Again, you're buying
think
a
the
used
remote
Pontiac
takes a
GTO for 10 grand when all the rest of the options are 10,000 more dollars to start.
Oh, nice. A Phantom Black metallic car. Those are
76k miles. That's actually not bad. Real drive 4-speed automatic. So let's actually make it hard mode and go manual.
Yeah, well, here's where it gets expensive.
Say goodbye to your money.
Yeah, pretty much. Because they've
those
all
are the ones everyone
become
wants.
That's actually
drift
pretty good value.
cars.
The Tiger Mica one up the top.
Oh, I love that color too.
Mm.
And 47,000 miles, that's the way to go. If you have the money, spend it
how
on
I'd-
that.
That's how I'd buy one.
That few
wish I
miles
was
on a
that big
car
and I
that
had my own
old,
one.
someone only played with it on the weekends. They loved it.
And they knew what they had to boot. Look at, I mean, the paint's just great condition. It's still mirroring lights
I
without
never used to
scratches.
like Tiger Mica, but oof, hits right now. Couple little pock marks up front, but nothing inexcusable.
Nothing I'm going to be afraid of, anyways.
No.
I always like the back end.
Well, this is a good finish for the episode anyway, being a car in costume.
That's true.
A Monaro passing itself off.
Tricking
Oh,
the
yeah.
Americans.
Hang on, does it have the color-coded dashboard? Yes,
It does. Look at them orange gauges. It's so sexy.
That's what you want.
Uh-huh.
Stop making me want one of these
Why? You might buy one.
because I can't afford it. I'm stuck in that unenviable position of, do I want to fly an airplane or do I want to own a cool car?
Yeah, it's a tough place to be.
All
But in any
right.
case, gentlemen, we are at an hour and 30 at this moment. So I think we might be about ready to wrap up.
I reckon it's not a bad idea.
Yep. But we still have to plug our music provider.
Oh, that is correct. I totally forgot about our delightful, amazing, the vamp for me. Hold on a minute.
Well, if it has an orange gate, not necessarily foreign, it might just be a Pontiac.
Correcto. So,
I mean, it is.
our music, all that you heard tonight while it was playing, I set it to the Halloween album, which is right here. Playing Rhythm Reaper tonight while we had music. It is a Halloween-themed album from our delightful Walking Dog Music. They are copyright-free, DMCA-free, so you can use them in all of your streams and all of your YouTube videos, and you won't get any marks for copyright infringement. This is free to you. You can just go to their YouTube, you can go to their Spotify, you can go to Apple Music, you can go to Bandcamp. They're everywhere, and they do this for you for free. Pay what you want to support them. They're awesome. They have all kinds of different genres. They have lo-fi, they have holiday stuff, they have kawaii future bass. What you want to listen to, they have. It's great stuff thrown in the background.
So go support them and tell them that the 710 sent you.
Absolutely. But with that, I think we're pretty good here for the night, gentlemen.
Yes. So thank you to everyone who joined us. We hope we didn't scare you too badly.
Ooh.
What?
And now the oil pressure light is blinking.
Oh, that's the worst.
No.
That's the thing that killed my Impala. Don't go there.
Looking forward to seeing you next time,
Yeah,
John.
stop on by. We are here every Sunday night around this same time. So come on by and hang out with us. Let us know your own opinions on the things we talk about, because that's half the fun.
Yep. And we are the 710 cast on Twitter, Discord, YouTube, all the places. Go join us and show us what you see out on the road. We want to talk about it.
Observe us on the medias of social.
Yes. And lick that smash button or something.
Ding the bell.
It's got to be lick that smash button from now on. That's amazing. That just caught me so off guard. Okay.
All right. Ciao for now.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.
Have a wonderful night and a happy Halloween. Go be spooky.
Night.
Candy. The candy.
So much candy. Good night.